chances on many romances and leave them cold as steel. I got rainbow eyes. I got rainbow eyes. I play my cards right. If I can do it, I should have heavy deal. Challenge your rival, it's like survival. Nothing else seems real. I weigh the prospects, my ease and specs to clinch my final prize. The odds are even and I'm steaming to find some rainbow eyes. You got rainbow eyes. You got rainbow
to the stream. Sorry, guys. I'm very distracted. I seem to have lost my phone charger. Um, for anybody that's watching, and so I'm still thinking about that. But uh, let me run that back because I wasn't even on the screen. You probably couldn't hear me either. So, uh, what I was going to say is I've got 0 people in here, and Steve didn't have very many at all. And that doesn't make me angry because I know that it's the holiday season and people, are here, there, and everywhere. Um, and so I totally get that. So just right up front, I want to say if nobody comes in here and then, well, Darren's here. Hey, Darren. Darren, I was just going to say if I didn't have anybody in here, I probably wouldn't do this tonight. I would, save it. But since you're here and it looks like there's one other, well, now we're getting a few people. Um, but I did. I will say again that I did misplace my phone charger, and it looks like it may be gone for good. I don't know how I lose stuff, but I have succeeded in doing that yet again for something. Steve says I don't need to just go crazy over it, but I hope y'all can hear me okay. My microphone's being a little bit persnickety. Hey, Texas. People might have just been a little bit late coming on here. I'm going to add Darren here in a second. I see him backstage. If at any point in time during this watch along anybody wants to join in, you can. We can get you up to speed with the timestamp and all that. Now there was a little bit of a snag because when I got ready to click on the original link that I'd had for the Christmas Evil movie on YouTube, it had gotten taken down for whatever reason. So I had to scramble a little bit and find another copy on YouTube, which is the link that I have in the chat. So if you were going by my previous link, you might want to check this one out because evidently I'm guessing it was a copyright thing or something. They took the other one down. But this one looks really good too. I think this one might be an HD version as well, and it didn't appear to be cut because I kind of skimmed through it a little bit. So that's all good. I've got a little bit of a headache. Not that you guys need to know that, but I may have to get up and get me some ibuprofen. But if Darren's on here with me, then I'll let him entertain you guys while I go grab some ibuprofen. Also, I'm a little late eating my dinner. So if you guys don't mind me eating a salad while we're doing this watch along, then I will do that. Because like I said, I was scrambling around here trying to find my phone charger. So I'm going to go ahead and add Darren real quick here. Hey, Darren.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good, except I misplaced my phone charger, but other than that, I'm okay.
Oh yeah, I just caught that. Just caught you still in there.
Yeah, Steve said it's not a big deal. He's like, you can buy another one. And
right, that's your only one, is it?
That's the only one I had from Samsung, which is the type of phone I have. But Steve says I can get a pretty fast charging one. I forgot what the brand was that he said, but it doesn't matter. He said he would look it up and show me. And I just get aggravated with myself for losing stuff. I'm always losing something. I get distracted by something. I lay something down, and then the next thing you know, I can't find it.
Right. It might turn up then, you never know.
Yeah. Steve said, well, maybe it's in the vehicle. I said, well, it's possible that I could have, I was kind of distracted when we got groceries on Friday. And I think that's when I had it plugged into the wall socket in the kitchen. And I'm pretty sure I unplugged it. So maybe I just took it out to the vehicle and put it in the cup holder. I don't know. Usually I put it back in my purse, but in this case I didn't. So enough about my phone charger. I won't bore anybody anymore with the phone charger. Tonight we're going to do a watch along for Christmas Evil. Last weekend we did Don't Open Till Christmas. And lo and behold, Joe Bob did, or he showed Don't Open Till Christmas on the last drive-in Christmas special last night. And he also showed the second movie was A Christmas Horror Story, I think, which I think I've seen parts of it. But by that time, it was up in the morning and I was kind of in and out of it. So I didn't really get to watch that one all the way through. So I don't know how many.
Because, sorry, Dina, go on. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, because one of his hints was he was going to do a British film. But I knew straight away if he don't open till Christmas. I've not seen the other one either. So hopefully Steve can get a download for me for that, because I haven't got Shudder at the moment.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he should be able to.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
I think he's had pretty good luck with getting those last drive-in episodes. Let's see. I more than likely, well, I'm just going to go ahead and say I won't be doing a stream or a watch along or anything next weekend because next weekend is a holiday weekend, and I'm sure everybody else will be busy doing things Christmas related, spending time with their families and all that. Or I hope everybody is, and doing fun things. Um, so I probably will not be doing anything next weekend. But Monday, I'm planning on finishing up my Christmas horror favorites. So if anybody wants to come on with me for that stream, I'll be doing that Monday, probably at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So, and then Thursday, I'll do another My Dinner with De Palma, and we're covering Casualties of War and Bonfire of the Vanities, which I've seen Casualties of War. It's been a while. But I've never seen Bonfire of the Vanities, believe it or not. And it's got Tom Hanks in it. And I love anything that's got Tom Hanks in it. So I don't know how I missed that one, but I managed to. So I will be watching that one in preparation for the My Dinner with De Palma stream on Thursday, this next Thursday. Okay, so take a deep breath there. So Darren, you ready to get going with this watch along here?
Yeah, funny enough, I watched it earlier with one of the commentary tracks with John Waters.
Oh yes.
Yeah, John Waters, and I just took a few notes. I just like to be a bit prepared. But yeah, one of my favorite. I say one of my favorite. Christmas films. It's not quite up there with Black Christmas or anything like that, but it's
right.
Well, we'll come on to that now in a bit anyway.
So, like I said, if anybody comes in later and decides that they want to come in live on the stream, you don't have to be on video if you don't feel like it or you don't have a camera. You can come on audio only. Be glad to have you. And like I said, we can always give you the timestamp. So Darren, are you using the YouTube link?
No, I've got my Arrow DVD lined up.
So I have got the YouTube link. I've got it queued up right before the Christmas Eve thing comes up, and it's got the outside of the house and all that. So if you are using the YouTube link, I'm 13 seconds in. So
right, how long is that print on there?
Let's take a look here. They've got it at 1 hour and 34 minutes and 8 seconds.
Wow, mine runs for 1 hour 30. So
I'm not sure.
Crazy.
I was trying to see if maybe there was something extra on the end of this, but it doesn't look like it. It just looks like it's the credits at the very end. So, so for anybody, if Texas, if you're still in here, if anybody else is still in here, I'll wait a second or two and make sure that people say that they're queued up, and then me and Darren will go ahead and get started with the movie. And Darren, if we need to, we'll kind of get each other synced up where we're.
Yeah, it always worked out all right anyway. Like I say, I seen the film earlier, and it might be something to do with the frame rate over, so because I thought this was actually the Arrow was the director's cut, but maybe not. But it'd be interesting anyway to see if there is any differences.
Okay, So Texas says he's ready. So we'll
And
go.
anyone again wants to jump on, feel free. Like Dina said, more the merrier. To be honest.
Yep. So we'll do the 3, 2, 1 and go ahead and get started. So 3, 2, 1, press play. And I'm seeing Christmas Eve, 1947. The outside of the house is all decorated for Christmas.
Yeah. So again, I always ask, like, what was your first time watching this? Can you remember? Or
Let's see. I was still living with my parents the first time I watched it, and I'm thinking that, I was always on the lookout for new Christmas horror movies, especially when it got around Christmas time and I started thinking about, well, what movies can I watch this year? And so I don't remember how I came across it, if I was doing an internet search or what I was doing, but I discovered this title and I was like, well, I haven't seen this one. This sounds interesting. So I'm thinking it was probably a blind buy for me, that I just bit the bullet and bought it. And I think my first copy of this that I got was probably the version, that real cheap version that has Silent Night, Bloody Night on it as well. It's like
I
a
know, yeah,
double feature.
yeah.
So we've got a lot better copies of it now, fortunately. But I think that was the first time I saw it, was that way. So
So mine was probably going back about 15 years ago, when I'm not sure when the Arrow DVD came out. It must have been roughly that time. And at first, I was a bit disappointed because I was expecting, a full-on slasher film. But I've warmed to it over the years. Once you realise that it's not, it's not going to be like another Friday the 13th or anything like that, I sort of warmed to it, and it's more like a Maniac, or got that, like, reminds me of that Don't Go in the House vibe as well.
yeah,
I've said that before on different streams, but this film actually got the feel of Maniac and Don't Go in the House. It's proper New York feel about it.
right. And it is more, I agree, Darren. It is more to me like a character study on mental illness.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what we're dealing with the Harry character. And we're going to see that quite a bit more when it flashes forward to when Harry's an adult. This part here is when Harry is a young boy, and I guess this would be traumatic for me too if I saw what I thought was Santa Claus pleasuring my mommy on Christmas Eve. I guess
Yeah.
this probably would mess you up a little bit.
Isn't there like a similar scene in Silent Night, Deadly Night? Not quite the same, but sort of. Where you see Santa Claus doing something he shouldn't. I think so, anyway, in that film. I haven't seen it for a while.
Well, there's a very bad guy that's dressed as Santa who, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, now I can't sneeze. There it came. Okay. Sorry about that. But there's a Santa Claus in Silent Night, Deadly Night that I don't know if he stole the Santa costume or what. But he shoots a store clerk, steals what money the guy has, and then of course Billy's family comes across him and his car is broken down, and he kills the father, shoots the father in the head, all in front of little Billy. Pretty much, I mean, we're supposed to assume that he rapes the mother and then slits
That's
her
right,
throat.
yeah.
So it's just a very, very violent and traumatic thing for a very young boy to see. Um, this probably a little less traumatic, but um, on Don't Open Till Christmas, there's kind of a similar scene because the daddy is dressed as Santa Claus and he's fooling around with a woman at the party who's not his wife, and his wife catches him in the
Right.
act.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of then, maybe.
Mhm.
But yeah, I wrote a few notes down. Like, so this film, I think Dana would know anyway, was called You Better Watch Out,
Mhm.
and it was retitled without the director's approval. He wasn't very happy about it, and still wasn't happy up until the commentary track was, on this film. But yeah, he also said the reaction was pretty bad as well from everyone, like the critics and the fans, because they were expecting, that Friday the 13th, like I said earlier. So yeah, it's definitely different. It's a different film, to anything that's been made for this period of time.
Mhm.
The only thing I can think of before was the Tales from the Crypt segment with Joan Collins with the Killer Santa.
Yes. Yeah.
That's worth checking out if anyone haven't seen that. It's Tales from the Crypt from 1972.
And also,
Well worth seeing.
once you watch that, watch the Tales from the Crypt show from the 90s. Late
Yeah.
80s into 90s, and there's a retelling of it with Larry Drake as the Killer Santa.
That's right, yeah. All Through the House, I think that's
Yep,
called.
yep, that's right. Now this guy, and I'm gonna have unfortunately, some commercials, but I'm gonna skip ads. So, Harry's still dancing around in in his Santa pajamas. Um, but this sort of has a connection with Dress to Kill. Does anybody know what that connection is with Dress to Kill? This movie and Dress to Kill?
Yeah, I know.
Brandon Maggart is in both films. He is the one playing the adult Harry, the one who's obsessed with Santa Claus. Brandon Maggart also plays one of Nancy Allen's clients in Dress to Kill. So there's the 6 degrees of separation for Brandon Maggart there.
I
And
was surprised with the director. He said when he got, he was talking to Brandon Maggart quite a bit.
mhm.
And when he told him that the DVD was first going to be released, he wasn't all that pleased. So I don't think he embraces the film, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I did see an interview with him. I can't remember how old the interview was with Brandon Maggart, but he was a little, I guess he seemed subdued when he was talking about it. He didn't get real animated about it.
Yeah, that's what the director said. He was kind of low key.
Mm-hmm. But another thing about Brandon Maggart that I'm sure by this point in time a lot of people know, but he is Fiona Apple's father.
Right, yeah.
For any of you that listen to Fiona Apple's music, I don't even know if she's doing anything now.
Yeah, he did mention that in a commentary track. But he also said, which I found was quite interesting, it didn't really get a release straight away, but after a couple of years, it sort of played every year on 42nd Street, every Christmas time, for like 8 years in a row.
Now, this kid here, Moss Garcia, It just kills me. Like, I don't know how this kid's supposed to be. How old would you say Moss is, Darren? 8, 9,
Right.
maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe 10 at the most.
But where in the heck does this kid get Penthouse magazine?
Yeah, what was quite funny as well, he said that this kid actually, in real life, he kept the porno mag, and his real life mother found out and went mad with it. So I found it was funny. Like,
Yeah, I think I remember that now. Yeah, but I guess what young boy with boys are gonna have curiosities about sex. I mean, that's just the way it's gonna be. But I just always think that's so funny every time they show this kid, he even like later on when Harry sees the kids all sitting on the steps, and he's like, "Hi, kids," and they're all telling him what they want, what they would like to get for Christmas. If it was no object, you could have anything you want, and then you hear Moss yell out, "I want a lifetime subscription to Penthouse magazine," and Harry,
yeah.
the look on Harry's face, which we'll see in a little bit, is just classic.
So I'm on the part where he's actually talking to the employees in the toy factory.
Uh,
Let me get a timestamp. So
okay.
I'm up to just over 11 minutes.
Okay. So I moved mine up a little bit. So now I'm where he's talking to the employees, and he's just Harry's just so put out by these guys, because I'm guessing that these employees, the guys that work in the factory, assembling the toys and stuff, I guess they're just suffering from what we would refer to as burnout. They're just,
Yeah.
they're tired of their job. They're tired of that humdrum type of thing. And Harry just cannot understand why they're not happy, because he's been
Right.
promoted to an office job and he's not happy. He would rather be on the line, assembling the toys like he used to.
That looks really boring, though, doesn't it? That
Yeah.
job.
Well, I don't think I am my body is set up for jobs like that, because I don't know if I've ever brought this up before, but when I was first, got out of high school and was looking for jobs and things like that, my dad worked at the tile plant, which was a factory where they made tile. And so, what my job was I was setting tile, which means the tile would come on this belt, and you'd have to make a stack, 4 stacks on like a little pallet, and you had to be quick at it because they kept coming, and you had to wear gloves because you would cut your hands all up on that tile if you didn't. And I was on my feet all day long, all shifts. And yeah, just was not the job for me.
Yeah, I don't mind being on my feet all day when you're like, if you're working in retail or something, when you're running back and forth, but just being stood up like that would be main, like, really boring for me.
Mm-hmm. And these toys, they look really cheap.
Yeah,
They
they
look
do,
like
yeah.
any toys that kids would want, even back then.
Yeah, I would have been about 9 then, and I wouldn't have been appealed by any of those.
No. So Harry made the unfortunate mistake of telling one of the employees that he missed the line. So the guy that's going on the trip that was all dressed up, looked like he was ready for a camping trip, has conned Harry into working the line for him, working his shift for him. So Harry's going to be quite upset when he realizes what this guy has done, and what we're shortly going to see is he lied. You know, they weren't leaving early to go on vacation, him and his wife. That what he wanted to do was get out of his shift and be able to go hang out at the local bar for a little bit. So Harry's,
Yeah, and what's so funny about this scene as well is he happens, just as he's looking in, he happens to say that you know, the sentence, doesn't he? Like, oh,
Mhm.
just at that precise moment he's looking in. Like, basically, yeah, we, you know, got one over on him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I said earlier, this film doesn't have to remind me of, like, Don't Go in the House with the Donnie character. It
Right.
really does.
It does have that vibe and that atmosphere.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? And they certainly don't make them like this anymore. And there's a few things in here, actually, that they couldn't do anymore. With
No,
regarding
yeah,
kids and stuff.
be able to.
There's actually a link. I think Dana would probably know. There's actually a link to Salem's Lot coming up in the film.
Oh,
In terms of an actor, yeah. I think you know the one I'm on about, Dana, don't you?
I believe so.
I think it's George Dzunza, I think they call him.
Oh yeah.
He's the one in Salem's Lot that jumps out of the wardrobe.
Yeah.
But he's, apart from him, and I've obviously seen Brandon Maggott before.
Mm.
I've not really seen any of the others, so it's pretty low budget. Well,
Well,
you can tell it's low budget, but
I don't know if you've ever heard of or if this was a show that would have played over in the UK, but do you remember the show Home Improvement, Darren?
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Okay. So it had Tim Allen on it, but his wife on there was played by Patricia Richardson. Patricia Richardson is in this movie. She plays Moss's mother. So we're going to see her a little bit later.
There's one lady that looks familiar towards the end of the film. I'll point out when it comes. I think she was in Red, but I couldn't place her, and should have looked it up really.
Now, I do know Britannia Alda's in here as well, but that's a little bit later. Oh, Jeffrey DeMunn is also in this movie playing Harry's brother.
Oh, right. I don't think I've seen him before in anything else.
There he is there. I always thought these scenes, I mean, even though Jeffrey DeMunn's character and his wife, I mean, they're a married couple. They love each other, but it's like, I don't know, the just them wanting to like have sex just at the drop of a hat. It's obvious that they're not a newly married couple. And I just always found this weird, these scenes between the two of them, very bizarre. Like this, it's like, I don't know why, but it's just bizarre.
Pretty much anyone can see him doing it as well. They're not proud, are they?
Mm-hmm.
I think all the footage now coming up on the television, the director actually done himself rather than take stock footage.
that picture, I just noticed that the picture of Harry's brother up there on the left,
Oh, right, yeah.
like
Yeah.
it looks like he's been drinking for about 3 days or something.
If anyone gets a chance to watch this with the John Waters commentary, it's pretty entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
He comes out with some strange comments, though, that makes me wonder, you know. Don't want to say anything libelous on here, but yeah, he's a strange person, John Waters.
Yeah, he's interesting, but he is strange.
He comes out with some, peculiar things, let's just say that.
I'm reading some of these comments here. Texas says the Joe Bob show was so good last night. I agree, Texas. I just hate that I kind of dozed off a little bit later in it. Hey,
I can't wait to see that, to be honest. Looking forward to that.
I was laughing because Texas says, "Welcome to Stockyards Toy Company."
Oh,
Texas also says John Wayne Gacy's Thanksgiving parade.
right, yeah. They probably treat you better than Stockyards in that toy factory anyway.
Oh yeah.
Is this one you would play every year then, Dana? Or would you watch it every few years?
Well, once I discovered it, I watched it every year at Christmas time.
Right.
And my mom, she still can't understand this. She still can't understand me wanting to watch these Christmas horror movies around the holiday season. I'm like, well, you could watch them anytime, but it just makes more sense to watch them at Christmas time.
Yeah, definitely. I usually end up with I get all my Christmas DVDs and Blu-rays out. I'll never get around to watching them all. You get like a pile of 20 or 30, and then before you know it, it gets to like the 26th of December, then the 27th, and you're thinking, oh shit, I should have, popped these in a bit earlier.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
I still got that Silent Night, Deadly Night box set I need to watch. Said last year I was going to watch it, but just didn't get the time. So I got to make a bit of time for that this year. And I always watch, as you know, I always watch Night Train Murders. It's probably I would say one of my favorite Christmas films.
Keep forgetting that technically is a Christmas film.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's got the atmosphere and everything. Yeah, highly recommended if anyone's watching this. Night Train Murders from 1975. I will say, like, it is quite a pretty disturbing film.
Yes, it is.
So if you're into films like Last Ace on the Left, then yeah, it might be for you. But personally, for me, I think it's one of the best for everything, really. Atmosphere, gore, got everything.
What really freaks me out with that movie, besides the actual content, is the fact that the chick from Deep Red is in this. But I mean, oh my gosh, she is so evil and has no morals at all.
Yeah,
And,
Marissa Mel, I think is her name.
yeah, and she's totally. I mean, it's a complete 360 to the type of character that she played in Deep Red.
Yeah, I just find the characters in that film, you've got Blackie and his accomplice, but it's just so realistic. I'm a massive fan of Last Ace on the Left, and I know it gets regarded as a rip-off, but I actually think it's better than Last Ace on the Left. I really do. That film could do with a bit more love, to be honest, to get people into it.
I think people forget about it a lot. Just like me forgetting that technically it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah. don't want to go too much off tangent, but another one, another good Christmas one, I don't know if you've ever seen it, is P2, set on Christmas Eve with like a serial killer guy after this girl.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I have seen that one. If I have, it's been a long while.
Oh, if you haven't, then I highly recommend that. It's perfect for late on Christmas Eve night because that's when it happens.
Uh-huh.
Very underrated film, P2. Very underrated. Maybe that's one for your list on Monday, maybe.
Yeah. If I can get my butt in gear and actually watch some stuff.
Yeah, that's a problem, isn't it? Just
Mhm.
finding the time, really.
Because I had planned to, because I did a bunch of shopping today. I had Steve just drop me off at the local Walmart, and I just went whole hog, did all the Christmas shopping, got all my goodies, you know, the stuff, my candy making, my cookie making supplies, and all that. And my plan was when I came home was to start making the cookies and the candy. Well, time got away from me and I didn't get to it. So guess what? I've got to do that tomorrow.
Yeah, it's always a way, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get? I think Steve said you got a chance to watch Hereditary after.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna be probably with you on that film. Don't want to give like things away too much.
Right. Yeah. I'll save I'll save my comments for tomorrow, but
So if Dirk is watching, then be prepared.
yeah. But you know, I will say at least I gave it another chance.
I just think some films like that, you just know, don't you, that they're just not for you. I can see that it's a well-made film. Don't get me wrong, it's a very well-made film, and I wouldn't even call it a bad film. It's a very good film, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. But we'll come on to that tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Now, this here, where he's sitting there talking to the little girl's picture, and I don't know, that's probably something that wouldn't get made today. A grown man being that obsessed with a little girl.
Yeah, definitely with the whole thing with having the book, and like writing things down about the kids. That would probably never. That would be misconstrued today as being a pervert or a paedophile or something like that.
Right, exactly.
And
And
I don't think that was the director's intention in this.
No. I'm just wondering where Harry got the picture of the little girl. Did the little girl give it to him? I don't
Yeah.
her mother would have done that, but
So what's the time on yours again now, Dina?
let's see.
I'm
28
on 28.
minutes and 43 seconds.
Right, I'm on just over 28. He's standing by the window looking at the kid outside. He's put all the mud on his face.
Oh, yeah. And I think we're going to see Patricia Richardson here in just a few seconds here.
Right, is she well known then? Is she in a lot of other things?
I'm trying to think of other things. I mean, it's possible she could have been in some other movies, but I do remember her playing Tim Allen's wife on Home Improvement. That's the big thing that I remember.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I don't think she's been in any horror at all. This part, where the kid now has got the bobble hat on, and he frightens him in the bushes. I always laugh at that scene. It's a scary man.
And Patricia Richardson, she's like the wholesome On Home Improvement, anyway, she was the wholesome, good-natured mother. In this, she's always slapping Moss and dragging him by the arm and doing all that stuff to him. She seems just on the edge of being abusive.
Yeah. He seems a bit of a bratty kid, though, doesn't he? A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But like you say, yeah, exactly. I was thinking that earlier when you, even the just slapping the kid, they're like, you probably even wouldn't be able to do that today, you know?
The scene where he does jump out at Moss I think it's a good scare scene. I mean, some people might think, well, it's a little cliche, it's a jump scare, but I just think it's effective.
I think it works. I just find it a little bit funny, but it does,
Yeah.
it definitely works in that regard. So again, I wrote down a couple of things. This was never released in cinemas in the UK, which I find astounding. And it was only released on VHS in the UK like 2 or 3, 4, maybe 4 or 5 years later. I would have loved to have seen this. I know I wouldn't have been the right age, but I would have loved to have seen this in the
Now,
cinema.
was that because of the content, Darren?
I've no idea. I think maybe just the UK distributor, they possibly didn't get one, so they could because it did play theatrical in America, but it wasn't like a big, wide release.
Okay.
It pretty much got us like 42nd Street was its main play, and I think it played some of the big cities, but didn't get a premiere or anything like that. So the director was saying.
I don't know why, but all those soldiers there, that whole bunch of soldiers, was creepy looking.
Yeah.
It was. He's making better toys than his factory is.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely a product of its time. This film, isn't it? It's really like a time machine. It just takes you back to 1980.
Right. And some of these marionettes and that doll that looked like it had been stabbed in the stomach. There's a headless doll back there. That stuff is all really creepy.
Yeah. It's the same with Silent Night, Deadly Night, where you've got some of the toys in the shop. I think they do it in the trailer as well, and they're only just normal toys, but they make it look just like really creepy for some reason. I suppose it's that inanimate object that if you filmed it right, just can come across as creepy.
Well, even like things like Raggedy Ann dolls. I always thought Raggedy Ann dolls were creepy.
Are you up to the part now where he's in the office sort of Christmas party?
I'm right
just
before
before
that. He's standing and looking at himself in the mirror at his locker.
Right. Okay.
This is creepy too, with him, like he smiles and then he runs his hand over his face and the smile goes away.
Yeah.
Now, this Christmas party, I mean, I know sometimes work Christmas parties can get a little rowdy, but this one just seems to go a little bit over the top because you got some people here that are older men and women. And I'm not talking middle age, I'm talking about quite a bit older. And
it doesn't seem a lot of fun to me, that party.
and they're all getting drunk, and they're all. It seems like everybody but Harry is kind of, just getting completely wasted and having no regard for anybody around them, because there's a scene where they're dancing and people are bumping into the table that the record player is on, and
Yeah, it seems like no one's under 50 at that party. Crazy.
exactly.
But this is where it's slowly descending into madness. It takes a while, but you could see he's starting to go.
Because he starts talking about the tune, and the people don't know the tune, or they know the tune and they're choosing to ignore it, and all that stuff, and everybody's looking at him like he's babbling.
Yeah. I can't understand why you don't embrace the film, because he never went on, even though he's in Dress to Kill. I think he's been in other films with small parts. This is a lead, and I think he does a really good job. I can't see anyone else really playing the part, or maybe like a Joe Spinell, or maybe someone like that. But he does a very effective job, actually.
And this guy here, the supposedly the younger guy that they keep calling Bright Boy or whatever, and they talking about how he's really gonna make things great at the company and stuff. But even he looks older than they're acting like he is. They're acting like he's up
Like a
and
youngster, yeah.
20-something-year-old that's really gonna blow things wide open.
And if you look closely to his hairline as well, you can tell he's not young.
Exactly. Now,
That's Geraldo in the TV.
that is an actor who's, I guess, trying to simulate Geraldo.
Oh, right, okay.
Because around the time that this movie was made, the Willowbrook case had blown wide open. And for those of you that don't know about the Willowbrook case, Geraldo kind of busted that wide open. Geraldo was known for, busting a lot of things wide open. And what Willowbrook was a home for, and you wouldn't be able to say retarded children now, but mentally disabled children and young adults, and maybe some grown adults. And they were living in really bad conditions. That the residents were unclean. That some of them were sitting around in no clothes, just like it was showing on the TV screen in this movie. It was just horrendous. I mean, it was abuse, is what it was to these poor, unfortunate people. And Geraldo, whether you like Geraldo, don't like Geraldo, I think he did go a long way towards helping those people. Because if somebody doesn't speak up about something, then the world's never going to know about it. So that was the connection. The Willowy Spring, they called it Willowy Springs, I think, in this movie. I always thought that Santa Claus looked evil back there.
Yeah.
The Jolly Dream Santa.
But it's not mentioned in the commentary, and I should have looked it up. Did this director do Cat's Eyes as well? Cat's Eye? Or am I getting that totally wrong? The anthology film?
Yeah, I'm thinking that was, I want to say that maybe was Louis Teague, maybe?
Right, that's where I'm getting wrong. So I remember Dead Pit maybe mentioning it around about the same time as they mentioned this film, and I always get confused. I was half right anyway, I suppose.
Yeah, you had the Lewis part right.
But I should have known really that he's never going to be, you know, director. This is Lois as good as what it is. I can't really see him making something like Cat's Eye. Thinking about it now, like.
The two, I guess, bartender guys there with the bow ties on, for some reason, they remind me of somebody that would be on the Love Boat.
But one of them actually is the director, believe it or not.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, he played a cameo. You actually see the Twin Towers coming up, now with a lot of smoke coming out. I don't know if you've got to that part yet.
Well, Harry is getting some mud or whatever and filling bags up and dragging them.
Right.
Be careful.
It's weird that these prints are so different.
Now,
because he does actually say it's his director's cut on the commentary, and it's 90 minutes dead on. So yeah, very strange. I'd have to run them side by side, maybe one on the computer, one on the TV.
This scene here, I don't know how it affects you, Darren, but this scene always creeps me out. Of when he glues, and I'm guessing he's freaking super glues that thing, because if he was using spirit gum, I don't think it would stay on there like that.
No, that would freak me the fuck out, to be honest. Just anything on my face like that you just can't get off.
Right. But he's like having it's almost like he's having an orgasm over the fact that this beard will not come off.
Yeah.
And it's just so creepy and so effective. And I'm like you, Darren, I couldn't imagine anybody but Brandon Maggart doing this and pulling it off like this.
Yeah, like I say, it's surprising he didn't go on to bigger and better things.
Oh gosh, I'm having a lot of commercials here. I'm skipping the ads when it says I can, but
mine's just saying Christmas Eve now. I mean, just by where the Christmas tree is and the presents underneath.
Okay.
I've been meaning to get the Blu-ray to upgrade. So I think 88 Films got it out. But I kind of, if I don't see like new extras on there or anything, it's just for the print alone. I kind of don't bother usually, unless I really want it. But if it's got like a commentary track by The Theatre Continues or something like that, then I'll get it all day long. But that one I don't think's got anything new. Sorry, Dana.
You're like me though, because I'm big on extras. I love extras, and the more good extras you give me on a release, the more likely I am going to be to buy it. And Steve is the opposite. He says, Dana, he says it's all about the transfer. I said, well, I'm all, I love great transfers too. But if I'm paying quite a bit of money for a release, I expect a little bit extra than just a 5-star transfer.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd feel really bad paying $30, say, or £30 for just a Blu-ray with nothing on it.
Right.
I'll be honest with you. I'm the type of guy that actually finds the commentary tracks that sometimes more interesting than the film itself. So I'll just buy it. I'll buy something that may be a film that I find mediocre, but if I know it's got a decent commentary track or extras or documentary even, then I'll get it.
Right.
So I'm all about the extras really.
So now Harry is going to the Willowy Springs Hospital.
Right, yeah, I'm up to speed, but you know that.
And the first time, maybe the first couple of times that I saw this Night Watchman that's going to come out here in a second reminded me so much of Angus Scrimm. that I did a double take. It's like, is Angus Scrimm in this movie? And I mean, if you really look at the guy, you can tell it's not Angus Scrimm, but he just has a similar look.
Right, I can't place that, but now I'm intrigued now. Because there's actually, funny enough, there's like a scene with a new TV news reporter that comes on a bit later on, and the guy is just a dead ringer for like John Carpenter. If you that made me laugh when I was watching it earlier.
This night watchman is so old. He's probably thinking, "Who in the hell would be out here this time of night?" There he is.
Right. Yeah, I've just got him ringing the bell at the moment.
But this dude, though, like, he even does his, you know, how Angus Scrimm had that thing where he would, when he would say boy, and he would do that thing with his eyes, you know.
Oh, right, I can see what you mean there. Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious you look dead on at him that it's not Angus Scrimm, but he could be Angus Scrimm's brother.
He could be a lookalike, yeah, for sure. Maybe Angus Scrimm, I was going to say a little bit older, but even then, 1980, Angus Scrimm would have been getting on, wouldn't he? So, but yeah, I can see what you mean. Maybe he's a little bit shorter. Well,
Yeah,
quite a bit shorter.
Yeah, definitely Angus Scrimm was a tall guy.
So how would you classify this film? Would you call it a slasher? Would you call it maybe psychological thriller? Or anything else?
I would probably lean more towards a psychological thriller. It does have, although not slashing, it does have, and that's going to be coming up here in a little bit. And Darren probably knows what I'm going to say. The scene on the church steps.
Yeah, that's a standout scene of the film. Yeah,
is pretty graphic. But I won't give it away in case there's somebody that's watching this along with us that maybe hasn't seen this film before.
I would maybe class it as a slasher, but maybe at a push, maybe like you say, a psychological thriller with maybe slasher elements, possibly.
Right.
Because I'd hate for someone to be watching this now thinking, you know, or you know, maybe going to watch this in the future thinking, oh, it's a slasher, when probably get disappointed.
It's definitely, like you said, it's not a slasher in the same vein as Friday the 13th.
No, not by a long way. What I found interesting as well was throughout the end of the film now it snows, and it was fake snow, and it was done with like really cheaply. It was done with say a fan and like paper towels or just paper ripped up. But I think if you know, if you look later on in the film, even it does look really effective. It had me fooled, to be honest.
Darren, what's your timestamp? Because I had a kind of long ad that I couldn't skip past.
Okay, I'm on just coming to 47. He's talking to the nurse, the Afro-Caribbean nurse.
Okay. I'm going to back mine up because I think I'm a little bit ahead of you.
Yeah, I'd love to know where those 4 minutes come from, because sometimes American releases do run a bit longer than the UK. To do with like the bit rate or the frame rate or what have you, but 4 minutes is quite a lot.
Yeah. But these people that work at Willowy Springs within this movie, they seem a lot more caring than the actual people that worked for Willowbrook, which was the real case, the one that Geraldo investigated.
All right. So he's outside now, outside the church, just coming up to that scene. I don't know where you are.
Okay.
But this is, yeah. They're sort of walking down the steps. I don't know if that helps.
Okay. I think I'm about right here. They're coming down, they seem there, and
Yeah.
soon there's going to be about three of these young people that are going to mock him.
They kind of deserve what they get, to be honest. But this is the standout scene of the whole film. If you're a slasher fan, this is just gold.
Mm-hmm.
So well done. And it comes out because I was watching the film earlier, and it just comes out the left field as well. Because you think it's going to be, no gore or nothing. Yeah, I just love it.
There it went. And then it's not over after that, after the guy getting stabbed in the eye.
Yeah, exactly. I know it's like you can't really compare it to something like the rat scene in The Burning, but it kind of gives me that little bit, where you think it's over and it just carries on going. But yeah, I think that's done really well. Just to see the aftermath now of their bodies on the floor.
And
this is where we know. Go on, sorry.
Outside the church.
Yeah, that would have been one hell of a midnight mass, wouldn't it? To come out to that. But yeah, doesn't it catches New York, that chilly New York, snowy atmosphere so well.
And we see after each bad thing that Harry does, it seems like he's slipping further and further into this deep mental illness, this psychotic behavior. He's getting worse.
Yeah. And it's kind of possibly been in him a long time, not just the things that we see that spark that off.
Mm-hmm.
It's possibly been in him for years, and it's just finally just coming out.
Yeah, it's like he's finally come unglued now.
Yeah, he's just lost. He's just slowly losing it, but now he's at the point now where he's lost it completely. I think with those kills, then he's sort of too far in now to go back.
Right, yeah, there's no going back from that. Now, this scene coming up where he's outside the, I've never heard of a family and friends association. Maybe that's a New York thing, but.
Right, I've never heard that either.
But evidently they must be, maybe they're like community helpers or something like that. I don't know, but it seems that they're having their own little Christmas party here. But Brandon Maggart said that, and I hope I'm not stealing Darren's thunder. I hope this is not something he was going to bring up. But Brandon Maggart has said that he was hungover when this scene was filmed. And
no, I didn't know that actually. I wasn't on the commentary track. Go on. Sorry.
So actually, when he comes in here, or when these people capture him and bring him in there, he's dancing, or he starts dancing, and he stumbles at one point in time. And Brandon Maggart said, "Yeah, I did that for real because I was hungover."
Right, I didn't know that.
So yeah, that'll be coming up here in just a second or so.
It's quite bizarre as well, this scene, isn't it? Really.
Mhm.
And
And
I
you're
don't know. Go on.
oh, I'm sorry. You're not sure because he reaches behind him like he's going to pull something else out of his bag to kill somebody with, and so you're kind of unsure if he's just going to start attacking these people.
Right, yeah.
And I think he was thinking about it until these kids showed up.
You see this old guy walking into the shop now with a scarf?
Yeah,
He always reminds me of like someone out there, like maybe the Godfather or something. He just
exactly.
got that look about him.
He sort of reminds me of George C. Scott as well.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't know about you, but like in some ways I kind of sympathise with the character as well. Don't think he's completely unlikable or anything.
Right.
I think his heart is in a good place, but obviously the evil part is taking over a bit more now.
Right. Yeah, he's just a very sick individual, and this goes back to, I mean, this happens even now, and I believe it's even worse now, that people with severe mental illness are not being taken care of. They're not on the right kind of medications or anything like that.
Right, yeah. Because the director said at the time they did the commentary track, which I'm guessing would have been about 20 years ago now, because I think the director's actually dead now, that there hadn't been any sort of Santa, people dressing up as Santa in real life and killing people
Yeah,
and terrorists and all that. But obviously, we know since then there's been quite a few.
exactly. I think you're going to see him stumble here when he finishes spinning around and stuff. I think the spinning got to him.
Right, yeah.
I don't even know how he did this being hung over. I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah, because I wonder
So,
what he would have been.
did you see him when he stepped backwards and he's very unsteady?
Right.
And this is bizarre too. And you see one of the women look concerned for a little bit because he talks about bringing them something terrible or punishing them if they're not good girls and boys.
Yeah, because he says it almost kind of seriously, and then he obviously laughs
Then he
after
left.
a bit of a pause.
But it's like the kids understand him though. And I don't know if that's in his mind that he's seeing the kids as like, oh, you're right, Harry, or you're right, Santa Claus, we'll be good.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. This is where the film starts to get like batshit crazy sometimes.
Exactly.
There's some good imagery as well when, a bit later on when they're chasing him and they've all got sort of their torches and
Hey, old curly jaws, I'm glad to see you in here.
but can you see there now with the snow in scene? It does look really good.
Yeah.
This is the Salem's Lot guy I was telling you about. He is the guy, isn't he, that jumps out of the wardrobe in Salem's Lot,
You
I'm sure.
the guy that they showed in the bar?
And the one who's in bed now.
Okay, I may need to speed mine up a little bit here because Okay. I'm I'm not sure. That might be a different guy, Darren. I know
I
who
might
you're
have got it
talking
wrong.
about in Salem's Lot. Um,
I'm sure he was in Salem's Lot. Like I got it written down. He was in the Deer Hunter, and I think he was in Basic Instinct as well. I might be wrong with the Salem's Lot, but I
okay.
have to
Well,
double check.
now you got me intrigued, Darren.
Yeah, Google it if you can, because I can't on because I'm watching you on my phone at the moment.
Right. Okay. Let's see here.
His name is if that helps, George Dzunda. It's DZUNDZA.
Okay. Let's see here. Let's find
I
this.
think I'm sure it is, unless I'm going mad myself.
Well, I could be wrong. I'm not saying that I couldn't possibly be wrong. Yeah. Okay. So he played Coley in Salem's Lot. Uh,
Was that the guy I'm on about then? Maybe he played a different character.
And he was the one that his wife was messing around with the real estate guy.
Yeah, yeah. And then he jumps out, doesn't he, of the wardrobe and attacks the real estate guy, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but I think, yeah.
Yeah,
I thought I was going mad then for a moment.
he was in Basic Instinct, was in the Deer Hunter. I definitely remember him being in the Deer Hunter. I'm just
He's one of those faces that you see quite a lot pop up in things, but he doesn't. He's not like a well-known name, if that makes sense. But he's
something.
got that. Go on, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think he was also in the Ryan White story. I think he played Ryan White's doctor
Right. Okay.
in that. Okay, so Salem's Lot was 79. Da, 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 da.
This was 80, but I think it may have been shot the same year, maybe.
But I'm not seeing that one listed under his movies.
Right.
Yeah, he played Dr. Kleiman in the Ryan White story. I thought he did. Me.
They were worried with the scene coming up now that when he was on the roof, he did all his own stunts, Brandon Maggot.
Yeah, I mean that could be a potential bad thing to happen.
Yeah. It looked quite scary then. I hate heights myself, so. But yeah, considering back then, if he'd have fallen, then it would have put the shooting back, wouldn't it? 6 months to a year or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, you've got to love the atmosphere there. The whole Christmas atmosphere here is just bang on.
Yeah, I think actually the guy that was in bed a few scenes earlier may have been Joe Jamrog. I don't know. That name's not familiar to me, but
Right, I got the wrong guy then, have I? Might have.
he does look similar to George Zundra, though. I mean,
I know, like the director actually said on the commentary track, it's George Dzunda. So I
very
don't know.
strange. I wonder if he had been drinking.
Yeah.
This scene.
I think I might have got it wrong. Oh no! I tell you what, I think I got it wrong. Yeah, what happened was, sorry, total brain fart. Was George Dzunda was actually going to play the lead character. Sorry, that's where I got it wrong.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't know why I got that. Yeah. I don't know why I got actually thought that was him. But yeah, he was going to actually play the lead, Harry.
Now
Don't
that
know why I brain farted then, but never mind.
no problem. He does look similar though to George DeZundra though. I do think the guy that just got his throat
Yeah.
slit at Christmas.
I might have put 2 and 2 together and come up with 6. That's basically. But yeah, no, reading it back now, yeah. He said, yeah, he apparently he was cast and everything, and he wanted to rewrite the character. So the director wasn't very happy. So obviously they went on and got Brandon Maggot.
But that scene where he kills that guy, and his wife is in the bed beside him, and she can't. And before the shit really hits the fan, the wife is making some sounds like she's having sex or something. She's moaning and carrying on. I always thought that was a bizarre scene as well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think I can tell now that's not him actually. It does. I thought it looked like him a bit at the time. What makes me laugh with this scene as well is like, is that even possible to kill someone with a bag of toys like that?
Yeah, I don't
Suffocate them. I know he goes on there and kills them in a different way, but
okay, here's the Geraldo look-alike again.
it's kind of funny. The wife doesn't wake up as well, doing.
Yeah, she doesn't. And then when she does wake up, it's like she's so afraid that she can't get the scream out.
Yeah.
I may be a little bit ahead of you, Darren. I'm at an hour, 10 minutes, 53 seconds.
So what are you seeing on your screen now?
I'm seeing Harry's brother and his wife and the 2 little boys, and they're watching Geraldo look-alike on television.
Has it come up Christmas Day yet on the caption?
Yeah, it's a little bit past that. Harry's brother standing by the Christmas tree. And
I'm with you. Yeah, that's the guy I thought looked like John Carpenter when you said looks like Geraldo.
yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but when you said that, I really got to looking at him. I was like, yeah, he does. Jeffrey DeMunn, too. I like Jeffrey DeMunn as an actor. I'm just surprised that, I mean, he's been in quite a bit of stuff, but I was always surprised that he didn't become bigger than he did. Just because you can tell that he's really good at what he does, even in this movie.
Yeah, you can tell he's one of the more established actors.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, do you think they actually got the idea for Bad Santa off this film? It probably played a bit of a part in the influence.
That's funny.
But yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm having a brain fart then. That'll bug me now.
Oh, that's okay. I remember those gumball machines. I had one of those when I was a kid.
Yeah, we used to have something similar, like with like little bars of chocolate. I think you call them candy, don't you? I never got that. Why Americans call chocolate candy? I just think that's strange.
Yeah, I guess that would. Yeah. Do you, do you guys just refer to it as just chocolate?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just chocolate candy is probably more like sweets sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've got like just like uh sweets you suck on basically. You know.
Right, like hard candy or something like.
Yeah. I'm always amazed when I see some of the people on YouTube and that with because America you can get anything, can you? You get all types of chocolate, you can get
Mm,
I'm fascinated because sometimes over in the UK we just got such a limited, uh, you can't get hardly anything. You got brands of Coke over there even that you just never even, no one over here would know about basically.
right.
Uh,
I something interesting that I discovered like a few. Well, it's been several years now. It was back in. I think it was back in 2014 when I was still working for the library system. One of the branch libraries that I worked at, my branch manager there was Canadian. And so she had family still back in Canada. So she would go on holidays and stuff like that to visit her family. And when she did that, she would always bring Canadian candy back.
right.
And they had like stuff I had never even heard of, but boy, was it good. A lot
Yeah.
of different types of chocolate with certain things in it, and it tasted a certain way that it seemed like our chocolate in the United States didn't taste like that.
I think that's with everyone though, because I've tasted American chocolate and I think your chocolate tastes better than ours. So I
Mhm.
think it's just everyone thinks, that the stuff they're eating, from their own country is not as good as others, but probably people see it differently.
I've had a chocolate bar also from Germany, which
Oh yeah, they do some good stuff over
which
here.
which it's very good, yeah.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey DeMunn's character here is he's pretty much having his own nervous breakdown here. His brother's driving him crazy.
Yeah. I'm at the point now with the policeman.
Okay, let's see here.
I'm on 112 and 16 seconds. But obviously it's not going to appear at dead on.
I got another daggone commercial. That might slow me down a little bit.
Yeah, it might work out okay at the end.
So, are you at the part where they've got the Santas lined up?
I'm the part now where his brother and his wife, and he's on the phone.
Oh, okay,
His
gotcha.
brother's on the phone.
And
But
these shots of Harry in the mirror when he's looking at himself in the mirror, um, you can really tell how delusional Harry's gotten at this point because when you look at him like dead on, when we're just looking at Harry, as opposed to seeing his reflection in the mirror, it looks totally different. Um, did you see that,
yeah,
Aaron, or is that just me being crazy?
no, I definitely noticed that. Yeah, it's the director probably.
So it's as if Harry is seeing himself almost actually as Santa. The beard looked more real.
Yeah. Never noticed that much before. It definitely looks different.
Right.
But you can imagine now his brother is actually thinking, what the fuck, basically.
Exactly. This here too, like with the multiple snowmen, light up snowmen, and the Santas in the sleigh. This has got to be in Harry's mind too, because there's way too many of them.
Yeah. The director did mention that, yeah.
That is so bizarre looking.
I don't think I've seen this film for like, gotta be before tonight. Obviously, this is the second time tonight, but gotta be about 5 or 6 years, maybe.
Wow.
Because I went to put it into my letterbox, because I got a letterbox account, and it wasn't even registered on there, like that I'd seen it. So, or not for a while anyway.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that's a really cool shot actually. With all those, it does look surreal, doesn't it? With all
Yeah.
those light up Santas and sleighs and all.
It's like it's at that point, I feel like Harry's just locked inside his own mind. He's locked inside his own delusion now.
Right, that's what it is. Yeah, it's a delusion.
And at this point, this is where Britannia Ald is going to show up, because she's with the group of parents that are going to be horrified to see their kids around the killer Santa Claus.
That might be the lady I was thinking of that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, because Britannia Ald is the one in the red.
Yeah. What films has she been in then, Dana? Do you know? Because I couldn't place where she's been.
Well, as far as horror movies, she was in Amityville 2.
Right, yeah. The mother.
She was
Yeah.
Barney in Girls' Night Out.
Right, yeah.
And I know she's been on some other stuff, but I'm just totally, my brain is.
I knew her from something like, and I knew she'd been in quite a few things I'd seen, but I just couldn't remember.
Mm-hmm.
There she is. She's on screen now for me. Yeah. Yeah, it's quite uncomfortable seeing this as well.
Yeah. Because you're not sure if these kids are in real danger.
That's right, yeah.
You would like to hope that he wouldn't hurt the children. But he's so gone at this point that he could just completely lose it. This guy, the one father, the one that has the knife, like, I guess it's Britannia Alda's husband in the movie. He just like throws her on the ground.
That's right, yeah.
And just like, he's got to be one of those brutish, abusive husbands. And then the little girl just gives him the knife. And then this old woman that takes her brooch off or whatever, and like that pin off, and she stabs him with it. then it's just going to be a dang lynch mob.
And it's amazing up to this point in time, there was only ever like that Tales from the Crypt film that
Mm.
really depicted an evil Santa. Now it's been done to death, but yeah, I think the old ones are the best ones.
This one managed to fly under the protesters' radar, though. But Silent Night, Deadly Night was a little bit more out there, and it got slammed.
Yeah,
So
it got shut down, didn't it? Silent
yeah,
Night,
so
Deadly
much
Night.
so that TriStar pulled it from the theater.
So yeah, if I was around today, it'd be known as cancelled, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But I think this was off the radar because it didn't get a wide release. I think if it had been in like on wide release, I think it would have probably been gone the same way.
I think what really upset a lot of parents about Silent Night, Deadly Night is that at that point in time they would take their kids to see a family friendly movie, and when they were getting ready to put out Silent Night, Deadly Night, of course the posters were there. And anybody
Right.
that remembers those original posters, it depicted what appeared to be Santa going down the chimney with an axe. And so children and their parents were seeing these posters, and also they were showing the trailer for it during prime time when
Yeah.
families were watching television together, and that really freaked a
That
lot of
Silent Night, Deadly Night trailer is absolutely brilliant. It's one of
parents.
the best, I think. Yeah. But the poster art for this, I can't remember much about it. I got the DVD. When they're like, was this part of the poster art? I don't know if you can see that any good.
Let me see here. Let me switch. That might have been like an alternate artwork. I think
Because the Arrow DVD got that. I don't think that was it?
that might have been some artwork, but I think that like the main artwork for it when it came out was like a rather large facial picture of
Oh right, yeah.
looking
This the
like
cover of the Blu-ray. Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, of the Father Christmas.
right.
This is a scene I've always liked. Just the visuals to this, like with them with the torches and
Mm-hmm.
chasing him down. I just think in the snow, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, and it's very that scene where they're all lighting the torches up is very creepy as well.
Yeah, because it's like going back to the late 1800s. You know, when they used to literally used to lynch people.
Right. It's just like, the mentality is that here's how we're going to stop violence. We're going to use violence on the offender. And so we never end that circle of violence. It just it keeps going.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think he kind of blames his brother as well, didn't he? Well, remember?
Yeah, he does. And even in the one scene, he's like, his brother does say, you're blaming me for all this. And he's like, how can you blame me for this? And Harry pretty much says, well, you ruined Christmas for me because you told me there was no Santa.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's good to see now, though, that if you look on YouTube and that, every Christmas now, there's hundreds of reviews for this film, and it's good to see that people are starting, you know, to really take it on board now for what it is. Like, I think it's never, for me, it's never going to make my top, say, 10 Christmas films, but it's worthy of watching, I think, every couple of years, at least maybe 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I guess I just can't help myself. I gotta watch it every year now.
I certainly think I've liked it a little bit better than the last time I properly viewed it.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight I've seen it twice, so I mean, yeah, it's kind of growing on me a bit more. And that's basically for the first time I watched it. Like I said earlier, I just expecting something totally different.
Right. And see, I've done that with other movies too. You know, I talked about Black Christmas. The first time I saw Black Christmas, I was not impressed with it. I didn't get it, thought it was vulgar and not much else. But I gave myself a little bit of time and then watched it again. And I think it with Black Christmas, at least, it had a lot to do with the setting I was watching it in, because the second time I watched Black Christmas, I was watching it alone. The house was dark. And like
Right. Yeah.
I said when we were doing the watch along for that, if the phone had rang whenever I was watching that movie, I would have jumped out of my skin.
Right. Yeah.
And that's just how effective that movie is.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. You can watch like a film and be feeling totally different in yourself and get 2 different views on one film.
Uh-huh.
I find with me, and I think with probably with most people, is your taste sort of change as you get older.
Right.
For me, I sort of like the slow burns a bit more now than I used to.
I think I do too.
And I think that's all to do with getting old for me anyway. I still, don't get me wrong, I still love the action-packed stuff and all the old slasher stuff and all that. But yeah, I do like a good slow burn there.
Now, Steve, and I brought this up a little bit before, Steve seems to have lost his desire to watch all out slasher movies. And I'm not talking about Jallos and stuff like that. Steve still loves his Jallos. But a Friday the 13th or something like that, the more traditional type of slasher films, he just doesn't have much interest in watching those anymore.
I think that could be burning on that subgenre though. Like me personally, I'd never get tired of slasher films. But yeah, that could be burnout on Steve's part, or maybe he just finds them boring to what he used to. Just again, taste change, you know.
You're right. And I think
But
his tastes have changed just a little bit.
have you come on to the ending now, or is it? Because I'm on closing credits.
Jeffrey DeMunn is dragging Harry down the steps. I think he thinks he's killed him at this.
Right. So mention it when you come up to the ending, what you actually think of the ending.
Okay. Because we're getting close here. Or I'm getting close here. So he's putting Harry in the van. I don't know what exactly Jeffrey DeMunn thinks is going to happen here. If he thinks everything's going to be okay, if he just drags Harry's lifeless body and puts it in the van, but so
I would love to have seen this back in the day in a 42nd Street theatre. Would have like be amazing.
Oh yes. Well, there went Jeffrey DeMunn. He got punched in the face. Now, I will say, this scene coming up where Jeffrey DeMunn's character ends up kind of rolling down an embankment, you can literally tell that that's some kind of white fabric or something.
Right, yeah.
That's the only time that the snow looks a little fake to me. Okay, so there Jeffrey DeMunn went rolling down that hill. And
Right, yeah.
what I think about this part here, well, dang, I got another commercial, but I'll go ahead and talk about it. You see the van, Harry's van, crashing through a fence and going in the air, but then you see a shot of his brother's face, of Jeffrey DeMunn's face, just kind of staring in disbelief. But then it goes back to, it looks like Harry's van is going up in the sky and he's like he has achieved being Santa Claus. But I think that all of that's in Harry's mind, because you can hear like what sounds like a terrible car accident if you
Right,
listen to the
yeah.
audio. So I think that Harry died. You know, he went through that fence,
Yeah,
crashed,
yeah.
he died. But in the moments before he died, he thinks, oh my God, I have become Santa Claus. I have become what I always wanted to be. So it's kind of like two different halves. Um, you've got what Jeffrey DeMunn was seeing, as opposed to what was in Harry's mind just before he died.
That's interesting. I never looked at it like that, but it makes perfect sense now you mention it. Because I always look at it as the grease ending. That's what I always call it, because
Oh
the
God.
car goes up,
Mhm.
and I don't know if that was. He doesn't mention it on the commentary. I wouldn't imagine it was an influence or anything, or a little nod, but that's what it reminds me of. But now you mentioned that, I much, what you're saying there, I think is spot on. Actually, that's kind of has to be what the director was going for. But funny enough, in when it was played in 42nd Street, the actual crowd actually went berserk and went mad at the ending. The director was saying, because they didn't get it, or so yeah, that's definitely made me look at that ending a little bit differently now, and I've always enjoyed it. I always thought it was fun,
Yeah, and
but now that makes a lot of sense.
I
Yeah,
think people could look at it many different ways too, which is great, I think, because it's kind of, I mean, I'm sure the director had his idea of what he thought the ending was, but I think it's great that it's kind of open to interpretation too,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
because you
I'd
can.
love to actually know what was his vision.
Hmm.
And maybe it's on, because I know there's two commentary tracks on the DVD, so maybe it's on the other one.
Right.
But I'm sure, yeah, from what you're saying, is pretty bang on, to be honest. Um, yeah, that just makes me like the film even more, actually, thinking about it, because
Well, that's good.
it's pretty cool from what you just said.
And but I cannot, speaking of these types of Christmas horror movies, Don't Open Till Christmas, Black Christmas, this one we just watched, Christmas Evil, all of that stuff. I'm not trying to say my husband's a deadhead or anything, but he just has absolutely no interest in a Silent Night, Deadly Night, even interest in watching any of those. I don't think he's really sat down and watched one of those, except last night when Joe Bob had Don't Open Till Christmas on his show, I think Steve watched maybe 30 to 45 minutes of it, and he turned it over to something else.
Right.
So
Do you know if you had any guests on that, Dana? Did you have anyone at all?
while I was not going in and out of it, I did not see any guests on there. Now I'm
Because I
not
was hoping Caroline Munro would have been on. I know she's only plays a bit part, but that would have been pretty cool.
that would have been cool. But I will say that Darcy did a cosplay of Caroline Monroe. She had the red dress
Right.
and everything on, and the
Totally, yeah.
big hair. It was pretty cool. But
Do
now
you think Steve wouldn't even sit down and watch Black Christmas again at all?
I don't think
That surprises me a bit.
I really, Darren, I don't think I could get him to do that. That's just how far removed Steve is from those traditional type of slasher and or horror movies.
Right.
Like I said, he likes his Jallos. He still likes Fulci stuff. He just bought that $50 City of the Living Dead. Pretty much one of Fulci's masterpieces, and in my opinion, he still likes stuff like that. But as far as watching this traditional stuff, I guess, from the United States and Canada, and even I guess the UK as well, he just has no interest.
Maybe his tastes are changing. Maybe he's just got burnt out on the slasher film. That's possible, I guess.
Mm-hmm. It is possible. I guess I get kind of sad because early in our relationship we watched a lot of that type of stuff together, and it was fun. And now, unless I'm doing one of these streams and I have some of you guys on here, I'm watching the stuff by myself, or I'm watching it with the dogs. They're just laying by me on the couch or something. But yeah, and he, New Year's Evil, he's even burnt out on New Year's Evil. He won't watch that anymore, even on New Year's Eve. Which, guys, a reminder: I am doing the New Year's Evil watch along on New Year's Eve. We won't be doing it real super late. I'll probably be doing it at 7 o'clock or so Eastern time. But
Right. With that, if you're happy to have me on, I'd be happy to come on for that.
oh yeah, you're welcome.
7 o'clock your time is midnight my time, though. So I don't know if you could maybe put it to maybe 1/4 the hour, or because you might get a lot of noise here in the background. But
okay.
12, 10 past 12 would be fine, which would be
Okay.
7 your time.
Yeah, we could do that. But I could even say 1/4 or 15 minutes after, and yeah,
As long as you're happy to have me on, I'd be more than happy to come on.
oh yeah, I would love
That's my staple. That is, I watch that, and I watch Terror Train every New Year's Eve.
Yeah, Terror Train's one that I watch as well.
I never get sick of them, so touch wood, I never do. But yeah, we'll see.
But I think some people don't. They don't even. I'm not saying everybody does this, but I think there's some people that don't even think about Terror Train being a New Year's Eve.
Yeah. I probably didn't like for the first 5-6 years. I'd watched that film, and then all of a sudden you think, well, yeah,
Exactly.
But I'll even say, like, go as far as to say Deep Red. It's got that scene early on with the Christmas tree where the first, it all begins to happen.
Yeah.
I even class that little scene as a Christmas not a Christmas film, but like I'll lump it in there anywhere I can really, because they're so few and far between. You gotta love these
Got to
moments
grab
when you
them
get
where
it.
you can.
Exactly. Yeah.
And even though I have my favorites, I have my staples that I watch every year. Um, I would like to, mix it up a little bit and throw in things like Deep Red, throw in things like Night Train Murders, and uh, just have a few different ones. I actually haven't watched Silent Night, Bloody Night this year yet, and I want to. And I talked about that on my last um, favorite Christmas horror movies, because a lot of people consider Silent Night, Bloody Night to be a boring.
Yeah, I'm probably one of them. Yeah. I again, like the last few years, I kind of warm into it a little bit. I like because it's got tons of atmosphere.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I I watched. I was a bit disappointed. Well, a lot disappointed when I first seen it on some old grainy box set I got.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the way I saw it the first time around. And I'll be honest, the first time I watched it, I thought it was boring as shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I did. And then again, I waited a little bit and I pulled it back out and watched it again. And it just kind of completely changed for me. But go ahead, Darren. I didn't mean to talk over.
No, I think I remember going way back. Like CK won't even remember it, but used to call the film "Silent Night" bloody awful when it was on the message board, like, which was funny. But I need to watch it. Yeah, I'll give that another go because I think I might just warm a bit more to that film now.
Didn't speaking of Dead Pit, remember the Blizzard Bob special they did later?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wasn't that one of the movies they were supposed to be watching with Silent Night, Bloody Night?
God, it's been a while.
To ask
Probably.
Jay about it, or go back and find the Blizzard Bob thing again and
They
watch.
were actually talking about making another one of them
That would be
a month or
awesome.
two ago. I thought that was brilliant. I even made my own DVD of it. I downloaded it off the internet and made a DVD of it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I did
I'm not
that.
sure if they got that up on their YouTube at the moment, have they? Because I know Wes has took a lot down.
I haven't went back to their older stuff in a long time, so I'm not even sure. Um, I always liked that. And did you remember watching the like the classic? Um, I mean, this one was from a long, long time ago. It may have been before they were even doing Dead Pit. It was kind of him, CK and Uncle Bill were doing like a Christmas gift exchange, and Uncle Bill was actually smoking, and I don't think
Yeah, I remember that.
he has smoked for years. So
Yeah, I think Wes had the footage, didn't he, for a long time, and then he put it up when they got popular on Dead Pit.
right,
And it was quite, yeah, because Uncle Bill put on a few pounds as well by that
yeah,
stage.
yeah,
The
I was.
smoking does make you, yeah, it does add on a bit of weight, doesn't it? So it was kind of weird, yeah, to see that. But I remember all those old videos. We always talk about Dead Pit, might as well do it again. But I always remember all those old videos, all their Christmas reviews,
Yeah.
just so look back on it with nostalgia, really,
Oh,
like some of these films.
yeah. So Darren, what time is it there now? It's pretty.
It's 3 o'clock in the morning.
You know,
I know.
well, speaking of that, it's 10 here. So Darren, is there anything you want to bring up or talk about
uh,
before we?
no, I've had fun doing this as always. Hopefully, all being well, we'll do the New Year's Eve one next. But I'm sure I'll be in the chats and some of the chats and stuff when you have your these sort of in the next week or two. I was speaking tomorrow anyway, so you know, with
Right.
the Euro cult, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, of course.
I think we might.
I don't think Dirk's going to be too happy with me.
Yeah, you just gotta say how you feel, though. You know, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna rag on the film or anything. It just wasn't for me. But I think Steve liked it, didn't he? So it may be sort
I
of two people do, two people don't.
yeah, it's going to be me and you
Interesting.
against Steve and Dirk, but not in a bad way. It's just
No. Like Dirk is just so laid back. He don't take anything.
stuff
Don't
does
take offense.
stuff doesn't bother Dirk. Now, I'm not saying that like Dirk is kind of made the impression on me that years and years ago, before any of us knew him, that he may have been quick to anger and stuff like that. But now he's just as laid back as can be.
Yeah, I don't think anything will offend you. It's the same with me. If someone don't like a film that I like, it's like yourself when I was a bit disappointed that you didn't like Torso, but that's that's your view, that's your experience. You know, I can't.
I think you were shocked that I didn't like it.
Yeah. I would love for you to be a fan of that film, but yeah, we're all different. You know, I think you're the closest person I know that's got similar taste to myself, and I mean from anyone I know, and that includes internet, everything. So yeah, it does take you back a bit when you think, oh, I bet Dana loves this, and then you find out you don't, or vice versa even. But
Yeah, I've been surprised by a couple of things here and there that you either really really liked it. Boy, I was like, oh, I can't believe Darren really really liked that, or you didn't much care for it, and that kind of shocked me. But those have been few and far between. There's not been too many of them.
but I'm like you in the fact that when like stuff like Hereditary as well, but the newer stuff, I just cannot. I don't know what it is. I give it. It's not like I go in thinking I'm gonna hate this,
Right, exactly.
and I just then what's wrong with the newer stuff? It's just not very good. I just honestly don't think it's very good.
Mm.
Um, and there's people raving about 2022 being a great year for horror. And I haven't seen all the new releases, not by a long way. But what I have seen, I've liked. I think it's a stronger year than some past. But I wouldn't say it's amazing. I mean, I think people just really liked X and they like Pearl. And I
Yeah,
think that's made 2022 stand out for them. And that's,
yeah, I think so too.
Um, and those two films have actually, since we've done the podcast a few weeks ago, have actually grown on me a bit more. So, yeah.
Those two, X and Pearl, and I would assume that Maxine's going to go the same route. They are a different, in my opinion, they're a different breed of horror film.
Yeah,
I
it's new.
honestly have not
Well,
seen a film made quite like these films.
exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's different. And that's all you can be is different. Instead of churning out the same old, same old. They did something, they had a vision, they did something different. I even like the little nods they had, to eating alive, even with the crocodile or
Exactly.
alligator.
Yeah.
But yeah, but most newer stuff has just got no real imagination or
And
anything.
and
I did see. I don't know if you've seen the trailer for the upcoming Megan.
I have
Now
actually.
that looks like it could be something decent.
I think
I
I'll
don't know. Don't you
probably
think so?
send it to me. I'm intrigued by it. I am intrigued. I'm willing to give it a try. I will say I probably won't go so far as to actually pay money and go to the movies and see it. But
Right.
don't tell anybody, guys. If Steve can get it a different way, then I would be willing to sit down and watch it at home. I'm just not. I'm intrigued, but I'm not so intrigued that I want to shell out hard-earned money to actually go to the movies and
Right. Because once I saw that James Wan was, involved, and I'm a massive fan of Dead Silence. I think that film doesn't get the credit it's due. I'm all in because I really like the trailer. But I've heard mixed things, like people saying the trailer, you know, and laughing at it and what have you. But there's some good stuff to come, I think, next year. But I just try and keep an open mind for the newer stuff. I know, I don't know. Sometimes it's going through the motions watching it, but if you keep your low expectations, then you never know, do you? But I do look forward to Megan, actually.
It's just that some of the movies that have come out in the last few years are very painful for me to even sit through.
Yeah.
But then Steve is sitting there and he's like, you know, he kind of gets on me a little bit. He's like, why don't you like any of this new stuff coming out? I said, well, I do like some of it. Just the majority of it just seems like, you know, that they weren't even trying, that the directors weren't trying, the actors weren't trying, that they just seem like they're just regurgitating the same old stuff and people are just eating it up.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I think if anything comes out and it's half decent, because everything is so crap nowadays, a half decent film now be seen as something really good. Whereas we just see it for what it is, like half decent or maybe not even, you know, mediocre or what have you. But people are just jumping on the bandwagons of some of these films and just putting them and just overhyping them by so much that when I sit down to see them, because I usually don't go in early, I'll let a film like settle and I'll watch it a couple of months when all the hype's died down. I'm almost always disappointed. Almost
Yeah.
always. You do get the odd one, like Last Night in Soho, which I thought one of the best films
That one was a decent one.
of the last 10 years, easy.
Yeah, decent movie. But then, and no offense, oh Curly Jaws, if you're still in here, but again, that oh Curly Jaws generation is, and again, I don't mean any offense, but they are the main offenders. That generational group is the main offenders
Right,
that seem to gravitate towards the type of stuff that we were just talking about. And it, you know, I'm guessing maybe we're the old fogies now, you know, like it's just like older people probably did not care for things like Friday the 13th when they came out. They probably thought, what is this garbage?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And our generation was saying, "Ooh, wow, you know, this is cool. You know, we like this." And I think that's happened for years. It's just the way it happens with movies. It happens with music. Um, all different types of entertainment it happens with. But I just that jumping on the bandwagon of every new thing that comes out, no matter how bad it may seem to be, this certain generational group is just like, oh, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. You know, it's way better than y'all's crappy old stuff from 20
Yeah.
years
They
ago.
don't realise that they're doing more harm than good by just championing every new film that comes out. Even like if it's dog shit, they're just jumping on it. Because we're just going to get shittier and shittier films come out.
Mm-hmm.
But like you say, it's a new breed that they're more not even like MTV types. You know, them. I don't know what the word is for it, but then they like it more action packed or what have you. Like whereas we like the older films, maybe a bit more slower films and stuff. But even the way they're shot today, even the actual way the films are shot and the actors they use and all, I just can't get my head around it. But like you say, maybe I'm just getting old.
Oh, well, but then I look at Steve though, and he seems to be, he doesn't jump on the bandwagon of every single new thing. I mean, there have been a handful of movies that he and I have watched together, and we've looked at each other when the movie is over and we were like, what in the hell?
Right.
What is that? for instance, I brought this movie up before, and it was so awful to me. I guess I blocked the title out of my mind. But the basic story was that every night a guy would break into this woman's house, and she would kill him or do something. She'd stab him, shoot him, whatever. And the next night he would break into her house again, the same guy, over and over and over. And I'm not saying that there's not great women directors out there. I'm not saying that at all. But I think what this woman director was trying to do is trying to do one of those movies where all men are evil. All men will hurt you. All men are abusive. And it's like, they got to be old hat before this was very far into the movie.
So, like something like Black Christmas 2019, just where they just shovel it down your throat, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I blocked that film out. But part of me wants to go back and see if it really is as bad as what I remember it being.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I got that Black Christmas 2006 DVD out of ready to watch.
Yeah.
And I remember hating that, so I'm going to give that another go this year.
I absolutely hated that 2006 one the first time I saw it. And that is another one that has grown on me over the years.
Right. That's what's made me want to go back to it, I think, because, yeah, I'm like you, I hated it. But I've not gone back, so maybe I'll see something different in it. But don't it, like, actually try to explain things a lot, which I'm not a big fan of?
Yeah, that is the only drawback really to that movie for me, is because the more you try to explain things, and this is where, again, Rob Zombie falls short. He tries to explain stuff too much.
Yeah.
Trying to explain the Billy character and why he's doing what he's doing. When Bob Clark made the original Black Christmas, it was a lot more terrifying that the only thing you knew about this guy was he was some crazy ass that had got into the sorority house and was staying up in the attic. That was terrifying. And he was coming down and killing these girls off slowly, one by one, and then making phone calls from inside the house. And the one girl that's left alone, Jess, has no idea for the majority of the film that the person that's making the phone calls is the same person that's killing people and the same person that is in that house with her.
But in that 2006 film, don't they actually show his sister Agnes?
Yeah, they yeah, like I said, that's the only drawback to that film for me is, they go back in the past. They show that Billy grew up in the sorority house way back a long time ago. His mother, and I can't remember if it was his father or his stepfather. I want to say it was his stepfather, but his mother and his stepfather were very abusive to him. And his mother was also evidently a little bit of a sicko and a pedophile, because I can't remember how old Billy was, but she ends up having sex with her own son. That's where Agnes comes from. Agnes is the product of her having sex with Billy.
See, I must have blocked all that out when I first watched it.
But there's really no reason to explain all of that. Like I said, that is the only drawback. The movie's tolerable for me now. I don't absolutely hate it, but I still agree that explaining the whole backstory or giving a backstory to Billy. See, that Bob Clark was a genius by not giving Billy any backstory. He had no backstory. It was all left to your mind to
Yeah,
make out any kind of story for Billy if you wanted to.
that's kind of put me off again now, going back to it. But I'll tell you one. I'll tell you a good one for your list on Monday, maybe. I'm sure you've seen it. It's the remake of Silent Night from 2012, I want to say. Or is it later?
Yeah, I might
That's one I really like a lot. But
see.
no,
I absolutely hate that one.
right. See,
I
right.
absolutely hate that one. Doesn't that one have a young girl who's, I don't know what, all of maybe 13 or so, that's cussing and carrying on, and she's really, I mean, overly verbally abusive to her mother and stuff. I'm not saying the parents not be
I
as
think so. It's been a while since I've seen it. It's got the girl in it from, is it Jamie something from My Bloody Valentine? The remake of that. So it's the same girl.
okay.
I remember really liking that, and one I haven't seen for a while, and I want to go back to. I
And
think that, to me, I thought that was able to do a remake, but yeah, everyone's different.
I think that Steve and I we were dating seriously at that time because we got married in 2013. So when that came out in 2012, we were pretty deep into our relationship at that point. And I think Steve made a copy of Silent Night and sent it to me or gave it to me when I was visiting him or something. And I took it home or to my parents' house and I watched it. And I just was like, holy shit. But maybe I need to revisit it. Maybe that's what I need.
Yeah, there you go. There's a rarity that we disagree on. I would say give it another go. I might even go back to it and not feel the same as I did. So, because when you leave things for so long, it always, it's always at risk that you might not like a favorite of yours, and just get to a point where you've seen it too many times.
Right.
There's always that.
Maybe I was expecting something different out of it. That could have been another possibility of why I was so disappointed in it.
Yeah, it's very different to the original, obviously.
Right.
I just thought, as a standalone kind of slasher, I thought it worked in that regard. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from. But the one I mentioned earlier, I'd highly recommend is P2. I think that's a fantastic film.
I bet Steve has got that somewhere.
I'd like to know if Steve has actually watched that. I might ask him that. Because like when that film first come out, I think Dead Pit made a bit of fun about it. They hadn't watched it, but they just thought it looked shit and sounded bad. But honestly, I was took aback by it. I thought it was one of the rare films and like gems, I think, that don't get mentioned a lot. And there's a few Christmas films I want to see that I've just still not got round to. That second one that Joe Bob played, is it Christmas Horror Story or something?
Oh yeah, I think
I've never seen that, so that sort of interests me. But what's some of your other favourites? I didn't get round to seeing your last.
Let's see.
video.
I'm trying to think the ones that
Like the more lesser known ones, if you like. Have we got any of that?
I talked about Black Christmas, the original
Right.
Christmas. I talked about I believe I talked about Silent Night, Deadly Night. I talked about I think I talked about Christmas Evil and Don't Open Till Christmas. I believe I did. See, I'm
Right.
probably going to have to go back and scan through that video and make sure I don't have duplicates when I do the second part. I think I also, I covered Silent Night, Bloody Night, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
And I think I talked about pranks or the dorm that dripped blood.
Now you're talking. Yeah. That's when I've got what I do is if I got a film that I want to watch, I sort of pull it out of the case a little bit, just put it on the side. and that's one that I've not seen in years that I remember loving.
Right.
To All a Good Night is another one.
Yes. I can't
People
remember.
hated that film for so long, but now I see a lot of love for it.
You know, Steve doesn't
Crazy.
care much. He doesn't care much for To All a Good Night, but I love it.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. I've seen it once, and I remember being, and I'm going back to where the film looked really dark in the VHS days. And I bought the Blu-ray, but funny enough, I've never opened it. And I've heard now that people are like really warming to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, plus it's David Hess, one of my favorite actors ever.
Mhm.
So that's one. But the list is ever growing. You know, whether I get round to all of these, I don't know.
Right.
Hopefully, I do get round to them this year, but you never know. Before you know it, you're in January and the time's gone, then, isn't it? You know, the moment's gone.
Yeah,
But
but
that's
sometimes I cheat a little bit, even if it's after Christmas. If there's one or two of them I haven't watched, I'll go ahead and say, "What the
yeah.
hell? I'll just put this in and watch it."
That's what's so good about some of these films. You can watch them in the summer, even. You know, that's like Black Christmas is going to be a good film, whatever month you watch it. You know, you could
Yes,
watch it
definitely.
3 or 4 times a year and still get a lot out of it. But yeah, interesting. You know, Pranks and To All a Good Night would be two to recommend. I think. You know.
Right, exactly. And I can't remember if I talked about To All a Good Night the first time around. Like I said, I feel like it's been 10 years since I did that stream. So I'm gonna
Right.
have to
Yeah.
go back and just so I don't pull out the same ones and start talking about them again. I was
If you
going
do get a chance to review it, I'd be interested to hear what you think. To All a Good Night. Because I think I pretty much know you like pranks. So,
yes. And I know Steve makes fun of pranks quite a bit. Um, and we actually did a commentary a few years back for it, maybe a couple.
right, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And Steve was making fun of it the whole time, which that's fine for commentaries or watch-alongs or whatever. Sometimes that's exactly what you want is a movie that you can kind of poke fun at a little bit. But I do that with some movies that I like really well, but there's still some absurdity to them a little bit where you can poke fun at them. Offerings was one that when
Yeah,
Steve did a commentary for it, um, we both poked fun at it, and even when Uncle Bill was on the watch along for Offerings with me, um, which I hope to have Uncle Bill on another watch along at some point in time because that was a lot of
yeah,
fun. It's a lot of fun to have anybody on here, but like I said, my big dream is to have. I know people's internet kind of poops out if there's a lot of people on these streams, but I would like to get a whole bunch of us in here for one of these watch alongs. Um,
well, that would be my dream as well, is to do, I kind of got to do one with CK, but to do one with CK and Uncle Bill and get all the gang on, you know, all the regulars in here as well.
right.
That would be a dream for me, I think. If we could maybe get a film that everyone would, you know, and get a date locked down, and that would be great. You'd have to maybe sweet talk CK and Uncle Bill, but I'll leave that to you because I think you do a better job than me. But yeah, just have a chat with them and try and lock down a date or something in the new year, or you know, January, February time, and we'll do it because I'd love to talk to those two.
Oh, I
Right.
would too. And I told Steve, you know, I said, why don't you come and be on one of these watch alongs? We know it's not going to work with us being at our separate computers, but if Steve comes and sits beside me here at my desk when I'm doing one of these, I keep telling him I would love to have you on when I'm doing these because it would be awesome, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
But
You'd have to get Steve to pick a film he really wants.
maybe if I did
Yeah,
that, maybe if I let him just say, pick a movie, Steve, that you would really want to do a watch along for. Just like he had that. Did you watch that movie he was doing the watch along for earlier, Darren?
Oh yeah, that was wild. I tell you, I really enjoyed it.
I was laughing hearing what Steve was saying about it. It was pretty fun.
Bloody Sect, I think it was called.
Yeah,
I don't think I've heard much about it before. I might have heard the title, but man, that was like really fucking entertaining as hell. I tell you. But yeah, you'd have to guess Steve. I think Steve would do it if maybe if CK and Uncle Bill would come on the same stream, wouldn't he? I think Steve would then. We'd have to like pick a film or something that they all would do. Because that would be entertaining as hell to have all them on.
I mean, I know that CK and Uncle Bill have already done a Madman watch along commentary with Paul Ehlers, which was awesome. You know, they actually
brilliant.
Madman on there. But I just wonder if I picked a movie like that, if that would kind of.
I think with Uncle Bill, probably something like Blood Diner he would do. I'm guessing. CK, I think CK's pretty laid back. He'd do most things, wouldn't he, really?
Blood Diner might be a good idea, Darren, actually.
I think Uncle Bill would do that. I think his knowledge of that film would be superb, you know, to have a watch along.
I'm going to put that in my wheelhouse. And I'm going to, you know, I talk to them both of them quite frequently. So maybe if I drop that into the conversation, hey, what would you guys think of doing one for Blood Diner, and see what kind of response I get?
That's right, because back in the olden days, can you remember like Blood Diner was kind of Uncle Bill's film, and I think Night of the Creeps or The Monster Squad was sort of CK's film. And Madman, of course, obviously. But yeah, it'd be amazing. I would.
I pretty much credit Uncle Bill with getting me interested in Blood Diner, because Blood Diner was one of those movies that I remember seeing in the video rental stores when I was a kid. And it always had an intriguing cover.
Yeah.
But I never rented it. I don't know why I never rented it. So when I started listening to Dead Pit and I heard Uncle Bill talking about it, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to get this film and I'm going to have to watch it. So I did, and I've been a fan of it ever since. It is just one of those that kept flying underneath my radar for years.
The funny thing with that film with me, I bought the VHS. I went totally into that film expecting a Friday the 13th slasher. And I just didn't get it at first.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, listening to the Dead Pit show there, and they kept mentioning it. And I bought because I think it was only on DVD at the time, maybe in an 8-pack or something.
Right.
And I bought that, and I love the film now. It's one of my favorite. It's one of the funniest films ever.
Oh my gosh. And the absurdity of a lot of those scenes.
Like Cal Crew and the other guy, the one who's passed away now.
Yeah.
Just absolutely brilliant. And to know like it's actually some sort of kind of loose remake to Blood Feast as well, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, what a film. Yeah.
And Uncle, and just the fact of having Uncle Anwar being and he's just a brain and eyeballs, and
it's like you cannot, like, say you tried to describe the film to somebody, you couldn't do it, could you? They would think you were fucking loopy or something. If you explain the plot.
I just laugh like a loon at that movie. It's just like when Uncle Anwar is like fussing at the brothers, you know, calling them morons and idiots and stuff like that. But he's just a brain and eyeballs. That's all he is.
Yeah.
And saying, yes, Uncle Anwar. Yes, Uncle Anwar.
The part with the guy is with the, like, is it like, it's not really a guy, is it? That keeps talking at the, like, in the diner.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That is just bizarre with the voice as well. It's just bizarre.
And
But
the deep frying the girls, they put
yeah,
throughs and get these girls think they're gonna have some kind of hot sex orgy and they end up getting deep fried.
it's
The
just
guy that gets
fantastic.
run over repeatedly, they
Right, yeah, that's a
over
brilliant scene.
it's just so absurd.
That
But
guy as well in real life is just as mad.
oh my god.
Cal Crew, I
Yeah.
got him on Facebook. He's just crazy, but in a good way, not in a bad way. But what a film! That film is just, and that's one even now, mine with the Vestron release of the Blu-ray, and doesn't get talked about a lot. I don't think, not as much as it should do, anyway.
No, and it's probably another one that wouldn't quite get appreciated by this new generation.
Oh no, they'd hate it. Yeah, that's a different story, but I think it was before its time as well. It probably didn't get appreciated at the time of release either with some people because they didn't get the humor or just weren't expecting it, like myself.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's one mad film. You'll have to pencil that in sometime in next year.
Yeah, I'm gonna like I said, I'm gonna keep that one in my wheelhouse because I want to make sure that I ask both guys about it, both CK and Uncle Bill. Probably Uncle
Yeah,
Bill first.
and
Um,
they've never ever done a commentary to that, to my knowledge. So that
Not
would be,
that I know of. And that so I think that might pique their interest too. The fact that it
yeah, it'd
hasn't
be
been
good to actually get that down, recorded, and that'd be fantastic to go back and listen to in the future as well. So yeah, I'd be well up for that.
well, it is now 10:33 here. So
Yeah,
I
way past my bedtime.
think I'm gonna have to let Darren get some rest before he passes out. But I do want to thank Darren for being on here with me for this Christmas Evil watch along and for the discussion. We've had good discussion before and after the film. I want to thank those of you that came into the chat. I hope I caught everybody that was in here. I tried to acknowledge everybody that popped into the chat. Um, but with that being said, I think it's time for this gal to skedaddle on out of here for the night and also let Darren get some rest because it's in the wee morning hours for him right now. So, again, thank you, Darren. I appreciate you being on here with me.
I enjoyed it as always. I just like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas as well. Don't come on at
Yes,
all before.
right. Yes. Merry Christmas, everybody. Spend a lot of time with your family because, guys, time is short. And, time is so short that I'm not trying to bring everybody down, but it's important to not let little petty differences, whether it's political stuff or otherwise, keep you from being with the ones that you really love at the holidays, or any time for that matter, because we don't know when's going to be the last time we'll see somebody. And that's always
Exactly. Yeah. Appreciate every day you get because you just don't know if that's going to be your last or a person who loves last. So
Mhm.
just keep it. And I find like Christmas is a lovely time of year and all that, but why can't people be happy and good to each other all time of the year, not just at Christmas time? You
Exactly.
know?
That is a truer statement's never been said, Darren. I've wondered that myself over the years, and I catch myself being less than kind to people, and then I feel like, Dana, why are you being that way? Why you need to get your act together, get your ducks in a row, whatever, and stop being like this. I catch myself being a little hard on Steve for things that's not even his fault. Just like earlier, I lost my phone charger and I was mad at the world because I lost my phone charger. But is that it's a freaking phone charger. It's not any reason to get upset. It can be replaced, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what everybody just needs to remember. These little things, they may seem like big things at the time, but they're really not. So just don't sweat the small stuff. And everybody have a Merry Christmas and
Yeah.
Happy New Year and all that. Of course, for those of you that are planning on being on the New Year's Evil watch along on New Year's Eve, I would imagine, unless something, like Darren gets sick, which I hope he doesn't, he will more than likely be on here with me.
I'll be here as long as I don't, I won't be drinking anyway because I don't drink no more, so I should be all right.
Okay, I may have an adult beverage or two, but I'm not going to overdo it.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
New Year's Eve.
I just bought me another bottle of Fireball whiskey, so
Let's hopefully we can get a couple more on as well, and even if, like you say, they're drunk, then even better. Should be even more funnier.
Well, hey TJ, I hate it that you got in here at the end right before I'm ready to get off of here. You say Happy Christmas, y'all. Well, you have a Merry Christmas too, TJ. If
Yeah.
I don't see you in here before then, and Merry Christmas, Texas. Texas is saying Merry Christmas to all of you as well. So, with all that being said, I am going to skedaddle on out of here for the night, and Darren's going to skedaddle on out of here for the morning. And I will see everyone on the flip side. So, y'all have a good night now, and Darren, have a good morning.
Yeah. Ta-ra.
Bye-bye.
Bye.